In the second part of our report on human trafficking, we look at what is being done about the problem, what can be done in the future, and who should become more involved. This billion-dollar illegal trade is in everyone's backyard, and as the latest conference on the issue revealed, it is not only up to governments, but business and consumers need to play their part as well, particularly with the world economic slowdown.
As recessions bite, the problem of human trafficking is likely to increase. As more and more workers lose their jobs, some could become prey to unscrupulous people traders. Although the sex trade consumes the majority of known victims, it's thought that the number in forced labour is unknown. And with less money around, demand for cheaper goods could make consumers less vigilant about where they come from.
Now, as the economic depression is putting pressure on prices and costs, the attempt to use shortcuts and use cheap labor, especially there where labor regulations are weaker.
Construction is one industry that has seen exploitation. Workers from poorer countries are drawn to the riches of Gulf states like Bahrain. When some of their contracts run out, they can end up as illegal and become victims of forced labor.
The Bahraini government has just allocated around $8 million to train judges and policemen to deal with the victims of this modern form of slavery. But here, as with everywhere else in the world, it's very difficult to know exactly how big the problem is.
I don't think there is any developed or underdeveloped country that is not being touched by this human trafficking. And I personally believe, given the financial and economic contraction that is going to happen, that this problem is going to get worse.
The End Human Trafficking Now movement is working hard to make the issue a priority for the world. Their latest conference in Bahrain recently was about taking forward a process of urging the private sector to help combat this modern form of slavery.
Why the business community? While the primary obligation to prevent and combat human trafficking lies on national governments, we believe that the business community can make an immense difference. They can assume a leadership role in supporting innovation in labour policies, supply chain management, and corporate social responsibility initiatives.
This is the third largest, fastest growing criminal activity in the world.
Around 161 companies have already signed up to the End Human Trafficking Now campaign, including Manpower and Orascom, who paid for this advert. But the campaign's target of 1,000 of the world's top companies is still a long way off.
Paradoxically, some of the businesses were afraid to take a stance against human trafficking because in doing so they felt they would be associated with the crime. Others, probably a silent majority, most probably thought it had nothing to do with them.
The conference wants business to be vigilant about exactly how and where goods are sourced.
What we recommend is to business is to verify and check the supply lines, the suppliers, the subcontractors, those who provide the labor force.
They've got to be seen to be engaging with the suppliers in the poorer countries to make sure that we get well-produced goods with full respect for international labour standards and conventions and workers' rights.
One company that has been working on making sure they know exactly where their goods are coming from is the US clothing chain Gap.
Supply chains, like any other complex, dynamic, part of the world, corporations or governments or civil society to constantly stay ahead of the curve and try to find out what's really going on.
We have private-public partnership, we have the business people on board whom we are working with very closely. We have the governments that are here from different countries all around the world. We have NGOs, and this is the perfect partnership we're looking for.
Campaigners feel that awareness of the suffering caused by human trafficking is at the same level of knowledge as global warming was 20 years ago.
I think we should start, even if it takes 20 years, even if it means that, it will take us 5, 6, 7 years to get a small result, and it will take us 20 years to get where the environment is today. I think we should do it.